Well, today we're going to take a look at what the costs are that you can expect in the Philippines for dental work. And I'll tell you right up front, it's good news. It is less expensive than probably what you're used to paying back in your own home country. Now, as I give you prices, I want you to keep in mind that these prices are pretty much throughout the Philippines. But in general, expect that you will get charged more in areas like Makati and BGC, Quezon City. These areas are a bit more affluent. And so, the doctor's offices are maybe a bit nicer. Maybe they're paying more for their suite, or they just figure they're in a more affluent area and so they can raise their prices. Expect 10% to 25% more than what you will pay anywhere else in the Philippines, whether it's the Visayan Central area or even the Davao area. So let's go ahead and just jump into 5 of the major procedures that guys will get done with the dentist. Now, the first one is your basic teeth cleaning. There's 2 types of teeth cleaning. There's the basic teeth cleaning, which is maintenance. They just go in, they, scrape a little tartar, they, just kind of do a general cleaning, and you're out the door. Now, for that type of a basic cleaning, you're talking right about 1,000 pesos, which is about $20. We'll just round off here. It's like $19, 20 some cents at the current exchange rate. But let's just say $20. Now, I was paying, I believe, 800 pesos. This was 6 years ago for a teeth cleaning in Dumaguete. It was a dentist that was just right across the street from the E-Mall. Very easy peasy, just did it out the door, 800 pesos. But in general, expect to pay $20. Now, all these prices I'm going to give you is without insurance. Okay, this is straight out of pocket, just walking in and saying, hey, I need this done. So for $20, you can walk in, no dental insurance, and for about $20, you can get your teeth cleaned. Now, one of the price quotes that I got for Makati was actually $85 for a basic teeth cleaning. So you can see how it just gets inflated with the area. But again, it's kind of the same thing with haircuts. You can get a haircut for under $1 just about anywhere. But if you go to Bruno's or some of the other places that are in the mall, well, then it goes to about $9 to $12. So just expect that. The nicer area that you're in, the prices will be a bit more inflated. But if you just go where everybody else goes outside the mall, it's going to be cheaper. When it comes to teeth cleaning, there is also what they might call a more extensive, intensive teeth cleaning, where maybe you haven't gone in a long, long time, and so they've really got to pull some tartar, and it's like one of these 1-hour ordeals and all that. So for an extensive teeth cleaning that's beyond the normal maintenance teeth cleaning, in most areas you can expect still for the price to be about $50. Again, if you're in Makati, don't be surprised if they want 4,000 pesos, which is more like $80 or even up to $120 for an extensive cleaning. So the second most likely item that guys might need when they go to the dentist is a tooth extraction. Could be because of a cavity, could be anything, could be it cracked in half, whatever, but basically they're going to pull the tooth out. Now, I had this done in Cebu quite a few years ago and had another one done in Bohol over the last year. And in both cases, I went in, believe it or not, no insurance, again, walked in the door, said, hey, I got this tooth, it's cracked, can you pull it? And including the x-rays, including the extraction, and the one follow-up visit a week later just to make sure everything was okay, the grand total on my recent one was 2,000 pesos, which is about $38.50. And again, that's no insurance. And it was very well done. Again, dentists are kind of like banks and anything else. You're going to find good ones and bad ones. Every dentist I've gone to so far has been a pleasant experience. The guy that I went to in Bohol, he has the latest, space-looking chair. The place itself is modest, but he's got all the coolest equipment. In fact, he has 2 chairs, and the x-rays, they do them right on the spot. It's all digital, and I don't know how they do it, but they got a laptop screen that swings out in front of you. You can see a live cam of what he's doing, or about to do. The x-rays are like ready in about 5 seconds. He took my BP before, and very thorough, very good dentist. And the tooth extraction took literally less than 4 minutes. We spent more time just prepping and getting in the chair and doing x-rays, and very painless. He put a topical anesthetic first so that he could inject the main anesthetic, pulled the tooth, and we were done. And again, 2,000 pesos out the door for everything, roughly $38.50. So it's up to you. If you want a place that looks like a dentist back in your home country, go ahead and go to the malls, the big malls, go to whatever. But expect you're going to get charged, as much as double, maybe even triple. Whereas you can go to the smaller malls. You can also look on Google Maps. Just type in the name of your city and dentist, the word dentist. I just did that. I went on Google Maps and I looked at the location from the outside, looked legit. I showed up, took a look around, and, bingo, I had a dentist in Bohol. Now, beyond tooth cleaning and tooth extraction, another item that you may want to get done, well, maybe you don't want it to get done, but it may need to be done, is the root canal. Now, they did give me the option when they did the tooth extraction. They said, well, we could try to save half the tooth and do a root canal. I was like, no, just pull it. That was me. Maybe you think differently. Now, the root canal, I did ask, well, how much would that be? And again, we're talking about a general dentist, general prices, not the high-end ones in Makati and Manila. And the price he quoted me was, he said, well, we'll probably be able to do this for $150 to $200 in US dollars. So that's roughly anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 pesos. So about $200. But this is everything. This is x-rays, follow-up, the root canal. Actually, he said if I did the root canal, it would have been 2 root canal visits plus another follow-up visit, everything for roughly $200. So, just kind of projecting prices. Again, if you were going to get this done in Quezon City, in Manila, Makati, BGC, and you're in one of the bigger, nicer malls, that same root canal, don't be surprised if it ends up costing you $400 to $500, which still is probably cheaper than you might pay out of pocket in your own country. And that all depends on whether you have dental insurance or not. If you don't have dental insurance, it's going to be pretty pricey in your own country. If you have really good dental insurance, well, some places, I remember, this is going ways back, my dental insurance, I think my deductible was like $25. So again, your mileage may vary, but these are the prices you can look at here in the Philippines. Now, beyond the teeth cleaning, beyond the tooth extraction, and beyond the root canal, you may find yourself in need of a new crown. That's where they kind of grind down away a cavity on your tooth, but there's still a lot of healthy tooth and root there, so they will go ahead and attach a crown on top of it. Now, for a crown, typically, again, in the general Visayas and Davao area, you're looking at about $200 to $400 for a crown. And that's because they need to do, of course, the x-rays. They need to grind away any cavity. They need to grind it anyway so that it can get some traction when they put the crown on. And then they also have to do a mold, file it and all that. Otherwise, they may send it out, so you have to come back for another visit. And then there's a follow-up visit. So it's a little involved getting a crown. But when I did it, I had 2 crowns done for a total, but this was like 8 years ago, for about $325. Now, today, in general, if you're going to get a crown, expect for each crown, it's going to be about in the area of $250 US dollars. So that's roughly, let's just say 15,000 pesos, right about there. Now, if you're like just really screwed, or you're just kind of hell-bent on the idea of having sort of an implant where they pull it, they put in a little screw, and then that's the anchor, tinker, and then they create a new tooth, basically. They call it a crown, but it's really not just a crown, it's the whole tooth. So if you're going to go that route, that's going to be a bit pricey no matter where you go. Expect an average price of about $2,000. If you're lucky, you may get it for $1,500 range. And if, again, you're in Makati area, Manila, Quezon, don't be surprised if it's going to be $2,000 US for each implant. Not just a crown, but we're talking the whole, again, screw put into your jawbone and tooth placed there. But these are the basic 5 that you can expect to run into and need. With teeth cleaning being so affordable, it really makes sense to just go ahead and pop in when you got some free time and just have them do it. Most dentists I went to, I did not need an appointment. It was slow enough that if I was willing to wait an hour, I could just get a teeth cleaning done, easy peasy. But even if they're really busy, they're very good about scheduling for the following day or whenever it's convenient for you. Now, as I mentioned before, you can find what dentists are in your area by just typing into Google Maps. Forget the main Google search. Go to Google Maps, type in the name of your city, space, and then dentist. Hit enter, and it'll show you on the map the dentists that are there in your area. I believe there's one called Green Apple Dental that's been around forever. Many of you may be familiar with it. It's right there in the Cebu Ayala Mall at the business park. And they're a very good dentist. I've never heard any major complaints from anybody that I know that went there. Good service and all that, but they are pricier than the dentists you might find. For instance, I went to one dentist that was actually right across the street from Mango Square over there by Fuente Circle in Cebu City. And if you're looking for it, it's on the second floor. It's in that little outdoor shopping mall. That's if they're still there. That was about 6-7 years ago. Another thing to consider is I went to a dentist at Bohol BQ Mall, and I also went to the one across the street at Tagbilaran Square. Now, I ran into a different situation there. This was when I was looking to do a tooth extraction, and I went to the first one at the BQ, which is, they do get expats that pop in, but it's mostly Filipinos. And so I expected the kind of prices that I quoted you. I sat down and they were like, well, first we need to do an x-ray. Now, I've gotten dental x-rays and I've gotten chest x-rays at the hospital. Typically, an x-ray costs about $7, right about there. So I was expecting it to be about $7. So I was like, okay, they're like, we got to do an x-ray first before we can give you a quote. I was like, okay, that's reasonable. But again, the going rate for an x-ray is usually about $7, 300 pesos or so. So they bring back the x-ray and they went into this whole what I considered upsell thing. And by the time we got done talking, they said, well, yeah, you're looking at about $850 for the tooth extraction. And I said, well, that does not sound reasonable. So we won't be doing any work. No, I'm not going to commit to this. But thanks anyway. What do I owe you for the x-ray? Well, now it's 1,000 pesos, $20 for the x-ray. So if they want to do an x-ray, the lesson to be learned here is just ask them, okay, well, how much is the x-ray? That way they don't surprise you by tripling up the price. So I went across the street over to Tagbilaran Square, and those of you who have been to Tagbilaran Square, it's not a big fancy mall. In fact, it's probably the oldest mall there in Bohol. So I went over there and I found this one was not as nice. It was just a little suite, very small, just barely big enough to be functional. And same thing, sat down in the chair and I said, well, look, let's forget about the x-ray. Let me just tell you what I need. I got this tooth. I want to get it extracted. Just tell me how much is it going to be to do an extraction? And they were like, oh, geez, extraction. Oh, that's very serious. No, it's not. Geez, they did it in the 3rd century in barber chairs. They actually gave me a quote of $1,000 US. And I guess they were just hoping I'd be dumb enough to say, well, I guess that's the going rate. No, like I mentioned before, you can get a tooth extracted for 2,000 pesos, which is about $38. So be aware of the prices. And when you get a quote that is just outrageous, they're just flat out trying to gut you like a fish because you're an expat, just find a nice way to say, I need time to think about this. And then when you get out the door, yeah, I thought about it. The answer is no. Just find a nice way to tell them, no, thank you. I'll just shop around a bit or whatever. And, who knows? They may try to bargain with you and like, oh, okay, instead of 1,000, maybe we can do it for 800. No, thank you. Just find the quickest, most polite way to walk away. Don't sit there and let it escalate. Don't tell them they're a rip-off artist. Don't even waste your time. Just start moving. Just start, standing up and taking off the little thing they put on you and just walk out the door. So don't be afraid to walk away because, again, the prices I quoted you are pretty much average throughout the Visayas, away from any big cities up in the north near Manila. Now, Manila is a big place. Not every dentist in Manila is going to overcharge you or charge more. You can find dentists in communities within Manila that have these same prices. So don't think you have to go all the way to Cebu to get some dental work done. You can, again, go to Google Maps, type in dentist, and I have found that getting information online, it's 50-50. I'll send them a text. Sometimes they respond. Other times they haven't checked those text messages for years. So you can always just pop in and try to get information. Because when you walk in and you say, how much for a tooth extraction? They should be able to tell you, well, in general, if it's not going to require a lot of extra work, if it's your basic tooth extraction, 2,000 pesos. Simple question, simple answer. A little bit more if, they have to really work at it. But even then, you're talking an extra 500 pesos, $10. So when you ask the question and they start telling you, well, first, this and that, it could be expensive and we don't know. I mean, when it starts getting really vague, just walk away. There's plenty of dentists. You can find one that will just be straight with you, give you a price up front. Do not set price after the fact. Get all that worked out right up front. And like I said, I've been to the dentist now, I think like 3 times in 13 years, for like actual extraction or a crown or whatever, what I call real work, aside from just regular teeth cleaning. And it's always been a good experience. But again, I try to establish ahead of time what the rates are, and they've been pretty good. So love to hear about your experiences getting dental work done in the Philippines, how much it cost you, places maybe that you could recommend in different cities, and we'll see you there in the comments section.